golden, crisp, and full of surprises. Today, I'm making tahchin, a dish that, like Iran, hides its story beneath the surface. Behind the headlines lies a country full of poetry, pride, and paradoxes. Come with me to learn more about Iran and what makes this ancient land both resilient and complex, and often so misunderstood. Tahchin means arranged at the bottom, and it's exactly that. Layered rice and yogurt cooked into a crispy bottomed cake, often filled with meat, vegetables, or dried fruit. The version I'm making today uses eggplant, barberries, and saffron, a dish that's at the core of Iranian cuisine. And similar to Iran, tahchin shows that what you see on the surface is not always what is inside. To understand how Iran sees itself, we have to go back. Iran is one of the world's oldest civilizations, frequently known as Persia. It was once a vast empire that stretched from the Aegean to the Indus. The Achaemenid Empire, under Cyrus the Great, issued the Cyrus Cylinder, often cited as one of the earliest recorded statements of governance principles, including respect for religious freedom and the rights of conquered peoples. Its leaders also built an expansive road network, created a postal system, and standardized weights and measurements. In the 7th century, Arab armies conquered Persia. While many Persians gradually embraced Islam, they retained their language, literary traditions, and many pre-Islamic cultural practices, creating a uniquely Persian form of the religion. Shia Islam was adopted as the state religion under the Safavids in the 16th century. During this period, Persia also became a global center for learning, science, and art, with Farsi becoming the literary and administrative language in much of the Islamic world. Poetry, in particular, grew as a central pillar of Persian identity, as poets became the guardians of the language, culture, and spirituality, shaping a powerful literary tradition that continues to this day. Iranian pride as descendants of these ancient empires is a critical component of its national identity. Iranians view themselves as a civilization, one that has survived and thrived through millennia. This deep-rooted sense of continuity shapes how Iran approaches the world today, not merely as a nation, but as a steward of an ancient civilization worthy of respect, autonomy, and influence. To grasp much of the political context today, it is also important to discuss Iran's more recent history, as one that is riddled with foreign intervention. Under the Qajar dynasty in the 19th century, Iran's weak central control and lack of a modern military led to increasing pressure from both the United Kingdom and the USSR, who viewed Iran as a buffer zone between them. The Anglo-Persian Oil Company, which later became British Petroleum, discovered oil in Iran, making it critical to the UK's energy strategy. In 1921, a military officer named Reza Khan staged a coup and gradually consolidated power, eventually declaring himself Shah and founding the Pahlavi dynasty. However, during World War II, the UK and the Soviet Union grew concerned about Reza Shah's perceived sympathies towards Nazi Germany. In 1941, they jointly invaded Iran, forced Reza Shah to abdicate, and installed his son Mohammad Reza Shah as a more compliant ruler. Although Mohammad Reza Shah attempted to modernize the country through building infrastructure and advancing education, he also relied on his secret police for control and sought to limit the influence of religion. Then, when a popular prime minister spearheaded a movement to nationalize oil in 1951, the US and the British orchestrated his overthrow. Under these developments, Iranian people viewed the government as a puppet of the West and desired leadership that would stand up to foreign powers and represent Iranians. This environment created an opportunity for the Islamic Revolution, led by Ayatollah Khomeini. Although he was exiled for speaking out against the Shah, Khomeini built a strong following from abroad. He held daily press conferences in Paris and recorded speeches on cassette tapes, which were smuggled into Iran through mosque networks and student groups. The cleric articulated a clear and consistent vision, where Iran must be independent from foreign powers and that Islam is the answer to tyranny. He framed the struggle as one between good and evil, where the downtrodden would rise up against corrupt elite to liberate themselves. Khomeini also established the idea of vilayat-e-faqih, where Islamic scholars were the only ones capable of ruling society, based on divine law. This was a revolutionary doctrine where religious authority is political authority and law must be based on Islamic jurisprudence. Khomeini offered this as the uniquely Iranian solution to liberate Iranians. Initially, the revolution united a wide spectrum of people across society. Secular liberals, Marxists, and religious clerics, all opposed to the Shah's repression and foreign dependency. In 1979, protests erupted that the Shah could not quell, eventually leading to his exile and the return of Khomeini, who was now free to implement his vision for the country. The revolution was not just a rejection of the Shah, but a rejection of foreign domination and imposed modernity. What came next was a bold and controversial experiment. Building a modern nation based not on secular nationalism or Western liberalism, but on divine authority, where Iranians would have self-determination to build a future. However, like Tahchin, these ideals on the outside concealed a different reality within. A revolution launched to free people gave birth to a different type of repression. The Islamic revolutionaries purged political opposition and centralized control over the media. They built even stronger police and military structures to enforce religious rules, monitor the population, and punish dissenters. Over the years, protests have been forcefully suppressed, including the Masa Amini protests in 2022, when a young woman was taken into custody and beaten after wearing her hijab improperly. More than 500 people were killed and over 22,000 detained before the unrest subsided. On the outside, the Iranian regime projects strength and virtue, claiming to be the moral compass amid corruption. It positions Iran as a rightful power in an unjust world. But behind the curtains, power is oftentimes maintained through force and coercion. This has weakened the country, as loyalty to the ideology becomes the primary criteria for power, fueling corruption and mismanagement. It has led Iran to fund armed groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis in the name of supporting resistance movements to counter Western imperialism. Economically, the country has suffered due to sanctions, but also mismanagement of state-owned industries, as contracts are awarded to political insiders. It has suffered heavily from brain drain, as many of the most educated left to pursue opportunities elsewhere. Inflation, economic stagnation, and censorship weigh heavily on daily life. For many, the revolution has become a hollow shell. At the same time, many in the West perceive Iran to be synonymous with its government. Coverage of Iran is focused on military buildup, proxy wars, crackdown on protests, and repression of women. It becomes easy to misunderstand Iranian society as one engulfed by violence. But in reality, its people are diverse and multidimensional. While many do support the state, many others crave reform and freedom. In covering only the outside, we miss that Iran is one of the most educated countries in the world, with more STEM graduates per capita than the United States. We miss that there are underground but flourishing art, music, and film scenes, with Iranian directors winning global awards, including at Cannes in 2025. And we miss that Iranians continue to live rich and fulfilling lives while dreaming of a better future. Food for thought. In Iranian tradition, appearance and reality are often in tension. This is a recurring theme in Persian poetry. True insight requires looking past illusions. Ferdowsi wrote characters that appeared powerful, only to be brought down by fate's will. Rumi used the metaphor of smoke hiding fire to urge readers to see beyond the surface. Hafez's poetry is ambiguous, embodying hidden meanings and subjective interpretations. We can all learn from this idea. Truth is rarely where it first appears. For Iranians, this theme resonates deeply in daily life, where layers of meaning shape how people speak, act, and navigate a complex society, where private lives can flourish beneath the surface of public ones. For outsiders, it's a reminder to resist simplistic narratives and look more closely for nuance and contradiction. Like Tahchin, only once you break through the crust does the whole story emerge. What do you think is a misunderstood aspect of your country or culture? I'd love to learn more in the comments. The recipe is in the description box for those who would like to try making Tahchin for themselves. If you like your economics with a side of saffron, please hit subscribe. Thanks for nomming on some economics with me. Until next time.